this apparently was the first, I think it was the first U.S. mainstream media at all, but it was definitely the first CNN correspondent who was able to get into Gaza because they're not being allowed in. And when they are allowed in, they're generally, clinging on to the bootstraps of an IDF soldier who tells them what they're allowed to look at. So this is reporter Clarissa Ward. And again, I'm not going to defend her entire life. I don't know what she's done. I'm assuming if she's a reporter at CNN, that she probably has manufactured consent for wars all around the world. So this does not mean she's a wonderful person. I have no idea. I luckily do not watch CNN that much. But she did do this report. And they apparently got in with a hospital or a medic crew. So they were not embedded with the IDF, which I think was probably made a big difference. And anyway, listen to the end of what she's saying here. And you can look for this clip. It's online, and you can watch the rest of it. And she goes into a hospital. They feel the impact of a bomb as bombs are landing right next to the hospital because the IDF is bombing hospitals and bombing next to hospitals constantly. But also she goes and interviews children that are, barely surviving or in full body casts, etc. And, except for not saying the word genocide, largely does not pull any punches, which is good to see.
Now, the death toll in Gaza as a result of Israel's frenzied bombardment currently hovers.
Except for not saying the word. Apparently, I have volume on something else, so please hold.
Now, the death toll in Gaza as a result of Israel's frenzied
bombardment
currently hovers.
Okay. That should do it. Yeah, that was a hell of a CNN report where she's blabbering over some idiot that sounds like me. Okay. Let's try this again.
Our brief glimpse from a window onto hell is ending as a new chapter in this ugly conflict unfolds.
Now, the death toll in Gaza as a result of Israel's frenzied bombardment currently hovers at roughly 18,000. If you do the math, extrapolating as the UN says that 2/3 of the casualties roughly are civilians, that is about 11,800 civilians who have been killed in just over 2 months. And to give you a comparison, in the first year of the U.S. invasion of Iraq in 2003, according to an independent research organization, some 7,700 civilians were killed by U.S. forces. In 20 years in Afghanistan, according to independent research groups, some 12,000 civilians were killed. So in just 2 months, you're now approaching 12,000 civilians, and that's the same amount who were killed in 20 years during the U.S.'s war in Afghanistan. So this is truly staggering and unprecedented.
And as you can see, calling it staggering, calling it unprecedented, of course, there are ways that she is slightly still pulling the punches that you would expect in mainstream media. For example, she says the number killed in Israel's frenzied bombing. Now, I like that you added the word frenzied. I really appreciate that. But she did not say the number murdered by Israel, which would be to give the active voice to what Israel is doing, which is always very important. But that is the common way that your mainstream media covers these things, is to give the passive voice. But again, I don't actually want to be that critical, because this is far better than most of what you're getting from mainstream media. And the fact that she was actually able to get into Gaza. And, as the person who posted this noted, this is fascinating because it is mainstream media. This does not mean there are no journalists in Gaza. There are many independent journalists, and many of them have been murdered, 90 to be precise, more than the entire Vietnam War, the entire genocide the U.S. tried to perpetrate against the Vietnamese, and more than throughout the entire Iraq War, more than throughout the entire World War II, apparently. There are already more journalists killed in Gaza because Israel is aiming for journalists. And as I pointed out today on my TikTok channel, which is, if you guys want to look that up, is leecamp redacted. And I do post shorter videos about what is going on. But as I pointed out there, Israel in terms of like murdering journalists, Israel has admitted to a lot of these things. So a lot of people want to get into a debate with you about, well, Israel's fighting Hamas. Israel's just, listen, people are going to get harmed as they fight Hamas. And they wanted to have this debate with you. But the truth is, various Israeli officials, various cabinet members, various ministers within the government have admitted, as well as governmental think tanks, have admitted to so many of these war crimes. Here's a short list of what Israeli officials, some of them being Netanyahu himself, have admitted to. The first one is Netanyahu. They've admitted that they want to wipe Gaza off the map, which is definition of genocide. They have Netanyahu held up a map in front of the UN days before October 7th with Gaza and the West Bank removed. They have admitted that they are not concerned about killing civilians or children. Because they've said no one is innocent in Gaza, meaning we can murder everyone. Now, of course, that's also saying no one is innocent in Gaza is saying that a baby is not innocent in Gaza. This is a genocidal talking points. This is a genocidal ideology. This is how someone perpetrating a genocide talks, to say no one is innocent in Gaza. They have admitted they have cut off Gaza's clean water, which of course is a war crime. They've admitted that they're trying to starve Gazans to death, which is a war crime. They've admitted to intentionally bombing hospitals. Sure, they claim there's tunnels underneath. Even if there are tunnels underneath, you're not allowed to bomb hospitals. Still a war crime, still a genocide. They've admitted that they are targeting journalists. I mentioned that. They have admitted that they knew about the October 7th attack was coming. They might not have known the date. It's unclear yet, but even the New York Times has reported that they knew it was coming. I believe, and many others have said, that it's quite likely they allowed a large portion of it to happen because it has allowed them to get what they wanted, which is ethnic cleansing throughout Gaza. They have admitted that they're covering up as evidence of what went down on October 7th because they have said publicly that they are shredding and burying the vehicles, which are the cars that are burned and shot up with bullet holes and blood and hair samples and everything else. They're basically getting rid of, I don't know how many cars it is, I assume hundreds, but shredding them and burying them in an undisclosed location. They have admitted to their plan of ethnically cleansing Gaza because they've said that that all Gazans should move to Egypt or other countries, which is ethnically cleansing that area. They have admitted to genocidal ideology, which I mentioned before, but to give more examples, various ministers have said publicly that Gazans and Palestinians are not human, that they are, insects, that that none of them are innocent, and those type of talking points are the talking points of genocide. It justifies murdering an entire people. They have admitted that, the former president of Israel has admitted that fair reporting of what is going on there favors Palestinians. Meaning, if you actually know what is happening there, then you will side with Palestinians. He said that publicly. Now, he was trying to say, therefore, we should all be doing propaganda to help Israel, but he apparently did not realize that he was also stating, if you get the truth, you will side with Palestinians. And I think we should all want the truth. I don't know about you. I think we should all be looking for the truth.